exhorting and just building. Chester, you can't eat my lights. The channel, you beautiful souls, it's Rachel, and we have officially made it to 2023. I'm so proud of us. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you in the back. I'm proud of all of y'all, because 2022 at some points was not giving. It wasn't giving. But you know who was still giving? God. He's the greatest gift of all time. As we're starting off the new year, I wanted to make a new video for you guys. I wanted to talk about my testimony because, you know, I've mentioned parts of it in like the Q&A, which is really old and I need to redo, and just like various videos and stuff. But I've never really talked in detail about my testimony and about how I've gotten here and how God has really, you know, pulled through. So yeah. So I started off, you know, as any kid. I grew up an only child, and I was immersed in the arts early. So from age 3 and up, I was doing artistic things, but at the time it was mainly dance. Went to a dance school once I turned 5, so I was training in ballet and modern. Eventually tap in hip hop, a little bit of African, a little bit of jazz, you know, all the works. But I also grew up in church, so yeah, the whole baby dedication, they like pray over you when you're young and stuff like that's what happened to me. And I think I knew God throughout my entire life, but he showed me when I was younger like little signs that he loved me, or like there were just little moments where my parents would be able to see what God was doing in me, and although I had no idea what was going on, eventually I really came to see just how much he was doing. So for slight context, I got on a roll like through elementary school. Like I always had A's. I'm pretty positive that when I got my first B in elementary school, I cried. I'm not like that now, praise God, because that's a whole different beast. But I was very heavy on grades, and I think in a way I kind of like attached that to my like value as a person, my grades. And it's really easy to do that, but my parents were super supportive and they didn't even put a lot of pressure on me. I think I was just putting a lot of pressure on myself. But I really got to know God during middle school, and you know, past that initial struggle with perfectionism, I just struggled with it because I can't even explain to you really why, but perfectionism is such a hard thing to deal with, because you know, you can't really explain all the time why you want to be perfect, because it can be rooted in a lot of different things. It can just be wanting to be accepted by people. Well, I mean, a lot of times that's what it is, but that's what it was for me. I wanted to be accepted by people, and I found myself like wanting to fit in. But once I did get to middle school, I ended up quitting the dance school that I was originally at. Not because it was bad or anything. Like they were super good on training and stuff, but it just conflicted with my church schedule, so I couldn't do it. And it was hard for me because I wanted to keep going and I wanted to get better. But my mom saw church as a priority, and I'm pretty sure by that point I started seeing it the same way. So I just had to go with it. So also within that point, like in middle school, I think around like 7th or 8th grade, like I was, you know, auditioning for like the dance company in my school, like trying to be in the Nutcracker, like just trying to be involved in stuff. But there was a certain point, I don't even realize when it was, but I realized that my dad was developing dementia, and my mom talked to me about it, but I guess I never really internalized it until like around middle school, because after a certain point he couldn't pick me up anymore. Like it wasn't safe for him to drive, it wasn't safe for him to do anything like that. And if you don't know what dementia is, for one, currently they call it neurocognitive disorder within psychology, but I just have a list of symptoms. So memory loss, difficulty finding words, difficulty reasoning or problem solving, difficulty with planning, organizing, coordination, confusion. But then, like, the psychological changes, I think, are what really impacted me. So it's personality changes, depression, anxiety, paranoia, agitation, all that stuff. Basically, all those symptoms really had an impact on me, especially when it's in reference to me, or like how he treats me. Like, I know that my father loved me, but I also know that he would get frustrated really easily sometimes, especially when it came to the dementia, like being hungry and like being confused, because he'll ask for one thing and I'll bring it to him, and then he'll be like, no, I didn't want that, I wanted something else. Like, feeling like you can't communicate like that has to be frustrating. But it also led me to emotional abuse for a period, and it really hurt. But I know that a lot of it wasn't him, that it was the illness. But it messed with my head a lot, and it really impacted my self-esteem. We really, me and my mother, we really cared for my father up until like 10th grade. But it got to a point in 10th grade where I was like, Mom, like, I cannot do it. Like, I couldn't even tell her, like, explain to her, because I was nervous of how she was gonna react. But I was like, Mom, if you don't do something, like, I'm gonna do something. Like, if we don't figure out a way to handle this, like, I'm gonna have to do something, because I can't do this. Like, I'm tired. Like, yeah, I was just tired of being in that same position. And honestly, I was probably dealing with mild depression, loneliness at the time, because the friends that I had, as much as I tried to explain to them what was going on, I'm not really sure that they got it, And it's like his embrace was so strong that I was just done for. The process was hard, and I'm still recovering, but God was really teaching me who I was, and he was showing me that I was prophetic, and not only that, but I was his. Like,